Professor Wergley's here. I'm hoping you gave that example a try and that you did it successfully. And now let's take a look at how that example was supposed to be done. So I want to have the check password button work. It's going to grab the password and see if the password length is less than or equal to 8. So first I'm going to need a function to do that. So I'm going to write a function. It's a JavaScript function. It's going to be called check password. Okay, this function does not have any parameters. If I scroll down a little bit, you'll see I have a input type of password with an ID equal to password. I'm going to use the DOM to grab this ID and then check the value of the password field. So first, let's grab it. First, let's access the password field. So I'll create a variable. Let's call it password object. Remember, all the HTML elements are converted to objects once it's loaded in the DOM. So that's why I'm calling it an object here. We're going to use the DOM to get element by ID. We're going to grab the password ID. And I don't want to grab everything. I just want to grab the value. But before we do, let's print that out and see if we can get it to work. So I'm going to do a console.dir on the password object. And let's see if I can print out the value. Okay, let's see if it's the same as a text field. So I'm going to save the file, refresh the page, and let's click the check password field. So I'm going to type something. Let's type in Nick, check password, nothing prints out. What happened? Most likely this function was never called. So make sure you include the onClick. So I'm going to expand this so you can see. I need to specify an onClick. I'm going to call the check password function. Once somebody clicks this button, make sure you include the parentheses, otherwise it won't work. I'm now going to scroll back up and let's look in console. So I'm going to move this back over. I'm going to refresh the page. Make sure you save the file. Type in Nick, click check password, and you should see Nick available. But how do I get the link? That is the question. So let's print out the entire object here. If I do console.dir password object, let's look at the entire object and see what properties, attributes, and methods that we have. So I'm going to type in Nick, click check password, open up the object, and let's see what we have. So if I scroll down, we are messing with the value attribute. Okay, in this case, you actually cannot see what I'm looking for. So you'll see the default size is 20. We know the default size for text fields are 20. Let's see if they have a length. Okay, they don't have a length. What happens if I open up the prototype? Open up the prototype and look for the value. Okay, you'll see I don't have the information that I need. How can I get the length of the value? Well, value is a string. I could use a JavaScript function to count that string. Or I could write my own for loop. I could loop through one by one, go through each character, increment a counter until I hit the end. But actually, they have that already. So if I do console.dir, or in this case, we can actually do a log. I'm going to do password object dot value. And let's just do the dot notation to see what other methods or properties we have. As soon as I do the dot notation on value, you'll see brackets says I have character at, concatenate, index of, last index of, and the length, which represents the length of a string. So I'm going to use the length property, and let's see what I have. So I'm going to refresh the page, type in Nick, click on check, and you'll see the length is equal to 4. If I type in another character, it's equal to 5. Okay, so dot length is going to work because dot value is a string. So dot length is a JavaScript property for strings, which will determine the length of that string. So we could just write a simple if statement. I can say if the password object dot value dot length, let's say, is less than 8, what are we going to do? In this case, we would prevent them from logging in, but we're not technically logging in, so let's just print out a message for now. We will do this later. Let's just print out, if I do console, the user won't see it. So let's actually do a window alert. Do a window alert, I'll say, hey, password is too short. You see these all the time on websites. Must be at least 8 characters. So I print a message to the user, save the page, refresh, type in a password, NICK, do a check password. You'll see I have an alert. Password's too short, must be at least 8 characters. Type in Nick again, which would be 4 plus 4 is 8. Check password. Don't get the error. It's going to let me log in. Okay, so this is how you would do it using JavaScript. I can use the DOM to get the password object to get its value. Then I need to use the JavaScript.length, which is used to calculate the length of JavaScript strings. So the DOM will return the string that's placed in the password field, which is the password field's value, and I'll use JavaScript to count the length of that string using the .length function. So let's type a note. If the password is shorter than 8 characters, then we're going to display an alert. Things to take away from this lecture: make sure you write a JavaScript function. We're using the DOM to access the HTML elements. And when I call the function, make sure you write an onClick and make sure those parentheses are on the function call. If the parentheses aren't there, or if you misspell the function name, the onClick will not work, and you'll get points taken off for your challenge. We're going to go over other examples. We're going to go over radios, checkboxes, selects, text areas, and hidden. Stick with Professor Wergeles, and we'll see you in the next video.